Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my mid-year book freakout tag. I am just finally getting to this. I needed to do something that wasn't a review or a wrap up, so I decided to tag myself in the mid-year book freakout tag. It is still mid-year, it's the end of July, it counts. So let's just dive right into it. What is the best book that you've read so far in 2024? I went back and forth on this, but at the end, the answer was clear to me. Dungeon Crawler Carl still lives in my head rent free. I think about those books daily. I honestly had such a good time reading the first 6 books. I cannot wait until book 7 comes out. I know that he's working hard on the next book. I have all of the audiobooks so that I can go back and listen to them over and over and over again, and I will be. I have been shoving this book down everyone's throat for the last month and a half. I'm gonna do a reread again soon. It's Dungeon Crawler Carl. What is the best sequel that you've read so far in 2024? I think this is gonna be Candle and Crow by Kevin Hearn. There were a couple of books that were possibilities, but I just loved the wrap up to this trilogy so much. I've been reading the Ink and Sigil trilogy since the first one came out. I think 2021, I want to say, maybe late 2020, but I'm pretty sure 2021. I was so excited to hear Kevin Hearn was going to be writing a new series that was still in the Iron Druid world that I love so much. And finding out that it was only going to be a trilogy was even more exciting. I loved the characters, I loved the world, and the way that the story wrapped up. I just really, really enjoyed it. What are some new releases that you haven't gotten around to reading yet? There's probably way more that needs to be on this list, but the only two that I could come up with off the top of my head are Finley Donovan Rolls the Dice, which I think came out a few months ago. I just can't seem to get into it. I've started it a couple of times. I keep taking it out from the library and it keeps getting returned. I don't know, I can't seem to get myself into it. I think I need to get the audiobook. Maybe that'll finally get me through. I really like the narrator for it. But yeah, Finley Donovan Rolls the Dice. And then Butcher and Blackbird #2, which I don't remember the name of. Leather and something, maybe. That just came out. And I know that I want to read it and I have plans to read it. I just don't know when that's going to happen. So this is in terms of sequels that I know for a fact are already out that I haven't gotten around to reading yet. I think maybe Tessa Bailey's books I haven't gotten around to reading yet. Ali Hazelwood's books I haven't gotten around to reading yet. And then Christina Lauren's, if we're talking about new releases from this year, Christina Lauren's Paradise Problem and Funny Story by Emily Henry. These are all romance books that I was really, really looking forward to this year that I have and I just haven't picked up yet, and I really, really need to. The most anticipated release for the second half of the year. This is kind of a toss up. So I am very much so looking forward to The Fury of the Gods by John Gwynne. This is the next book in his, I don't remember the trilogy name, but the Wrath of the Gods series. And I have been fortunate enough to get arcs of all of them. I do have one of The Fury of the Gods as well, and I need to start it. But he's had so much personal tragedy that has kind of pushed the release date for this book back further and further, and it's finally here. I'm so excited to start reading this. I need to get around to it. I just have a lot that's happening and a lot of books that I'm currently in the middle of, but as soon as I'm done with that, I will be picking this one up. Next is the Stormlight Archive, book 5, and it has a name. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. My intention was to reread the entirety of the Stormlight Archive to prepare myself for it, but it's July and I'm still on the Way of Kings. So it feels like that might not happen. I'm going to try though. I have a lot of prep to do before I get into Stormlight Archive 5. I have no idea what the title is, guys. I know that it exists, but I don't remember what it is. And then the next one is, hopefully, you're going to be so sick of hearing about this, Dungeon Crawler Carl Book 7. I know that he wanted a release date of October for this one. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but if it comes out in October, I'm going to be very happy. My biggest disappointment of 2024 so far, there's several. One is not necessarily a disappointment. I didn't really go into it with high hopes. My work book club chose Too Late by Colleen Hoover to read, and that is by far the worst book that I've read this year. It was so bad. I rage finished it. It was not good. I don't like anything about it. I have no good things to say. I don't intend to read any more Colleen Hoover. Can you be disappointed by something you had such a low bar for in the beginning? I don't know. I don't know. House of Flame and Shadow. High hopes. I had such high hopes. I feel like it kind of crashed and burned. I I did not like the way that this book wrapped up. I don't like the way that the story wrapped up. I don't know what happened because Crescent City 1, House of Earth and Blood was so good, and then book 2 was not. not good. And then book 3 was better than book 2, but still not great. So, and then in the same vein, because I didn't make one of these videos for 2023, but Iron Flame, which came out in November, so it's like practically 2024, right? Iron Flame was a huge disappointment for me too. I did not really like the first half of that book at all. The second half kind of brought it home, but like it wasn't enough to really make that book not a disappointment for me. So those 3 are the ones that I'm going to list here. My biggest surprise of 2024, I'm going to put a couple of books on this. So Butcher and Blackbird was a big surprise for me. Dark romance is not really my thing. I definitely prefer my romance on the lighter and fluffier side, or like if it's a romantic suspense. I mean, both characters are usually on the, if things are black and white, definitely not on the dark side of things, you know? Dark romance is kind of hit or miss for me. I can enjoy it, but I don't necessarily gravitate towards it. Butcher and Blackbird is literally about 2 serial killers falling in love. So I wasn't really sure how that was going to go, but it ended up being great. I had a great time. It was enjoyable. It was cute. It was disgusting at times, but like it was a solid romance read. And I think that shocks me still that I'm interested enough to go and get the sequel at some point. The other one that I have is The Will of the Many by James Islington. I meant to talk about this in my last video and I forgot to because I finally finished it. I had been trying to read it for a couple of months after I had received an arc of the re-release, and I ended up loving this book. Another series, or another book at least, that I started shoving down everybody's throats that I thought would like it as a recommendation, and I ended up having a really good time. I It's a little bit slow to start, but once things kick off and really start rolling, I flew through the rest of that book. And then it lived in my head rent free for the next like month and a half, and it still kind of pops up every once in a while that I think I want to do a reread, especially because book 2 theoretically would be coming out, I think maybe next year. I think he finished the manuscript and he's in edits for it, so hopefully it should be moving along soon. But yeah, Will of the Many by James Islington. So good. My favorite new author, this is not a surprise to anybody, and it's going to be Matt Dinniman of the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. Yeah, he's my favorite new author. Not a debut, but of the new people that I have read this year, obviously I think that he needs to take this place of honor in my mid-year book freakout tag, because I binge read 6 of his books, 3 of which, maybe 4 of which, are over 700 pages in like 2 weeks. It was bad. It consumed my entire being. And so, yeah, it's Matt Dinniman. Newest fictional crush. There's going to be 2 because I'm indecisive and I can never pick anything. So I read Play Along by Liz Tomford a few weeks ago, and Isaiah Rhodes is precious. I love that man. He's adorable. He's a baseball player. I don't know if I like him more than his brother, Kai Rhodes, but I read that book last year, so I don't know that I can count it. And the other one is Henry from Say You Will by Evangeline Williams. He is an autistic vigilante male main character, and oh, you just have to read it. He is precious, and he is so obsessed with her. It's adorable, and I just loved everything about that book. So it's probably between those 2. You guys are going to be so sick of hearing about this, but I have to say it because anything else would probably be a lie. But my favorite character so far in 2024 is Princess Donut from Dungeon Crawler Carl. There is nothing better than a former grand champion showcat becoming a full-fledged character in a lit RPG. Hi Loki. In a lit RPG dungeon crawling world. She is prissy, but she's bloodthirsty, and she's phenomenal characterization of a cat given a voice. It's just she's so hilarious. I love everything about her. A book that made me cry in 2024. I don't think that I have a book that's made me cry so far in 2024. I've gotten in my feels with a few of them, but I don't think anything has gotten me to the point of actually crying. Now, with the Windy City series by Liz Tomford, I read Caught Up last year. Since I didn't do one of these last year, maybe this counts. But I read Caught Up by Liz Tomford last year, and that is about a single dad on a baseball team trying to find a nanny for his son, really struggling with the time that he has to spend away from his son as his son is growing up. And that definitely hit me really, really hard last year because I was doing something similar in that I was away from John and Jack because I was doing a training for months. And so I spent a lot of time away from them, and it was really difficult for me. And it came out while I was in the middle of that. So that definitely got me really in my feelings about the whole thing. But nothing this year so far. A book that made me happy. There's a couple. I started my year off with Bookshops and Bone Dust, which is the prequel to Legends and Lattes. So that cozy fantasy, happy, low stakes situation it hits, you know? It was so good, and that definitely made me happy. I read Wildfire last week by Hannah Grace, which is the sequel to Icebreaker. That definitely made me happy. Cute summer camp vibes. It was precious. The main character is the biggest cinnamon roll. I adore Russ so much. He's precious. I also read Icebreaker, and that also made me happy, but that's a reread, so I don't really know that it counts. Same with any other reread that I've done this year. Obviously, if I'm rereading it, I feel like it brings me joy, so I don't think that that necessarily should count towards it. The most beautiful book that I've bought so far this year is a little bit of a cop out. I haven't really bought myself that many books this year. I've gotten a couple Book of the Month books, those are always really nice. Everything else has been like standard editions, so there's nothing truly special about it. The only thing that I could think of is that I joined the Kickstarter for Brandon Sanderson's new secret project. So technically, I bought the new secret project, and if the old secret projects are any indication, the new one is going to be absolutely stunning. So that, I guess. The next question is books that I need to read by the end of the year. God, the list is endless. I have a ton of arcs that I am massively behind on, that are coming out or have already come out this year that I need to read. So those are definitely on this list. Too many that are worth naming under this tag, let me say. That's how bad the situation is. But I also really want to try and attempt to read the Stormlight Archive. The last question on the list is your favorite book to movie adaptation, and I just got done watching it, so I have to say My Lady Jane. I haven't read that book in years. So funny. It was hilarious. I loved everything about it. That's it for the mid-year book freakout tag. So hopefully I haven't talked your guys' ears off. This was a nice little break from doing my weekly reviews that I've been doing so much of lately. And that's it for this one today, guys. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Down in the description box, you're going to see links to my Goodreads, my X, and my Instagram in case you guys wanted to follow me on any of those. And I'll talk to you in my next one. Bye.